I want you to imagine that your daughter has asked to have a serious conversation with you about her sexuality. You sit down and prepare yourself for what she's about to say. Your daughter then says to you, "I just couldn't keep hiding this from you anymore. I'm straight." Now imagine this scenario again, and your daughter says to you, "I know I was born female, but as an adult, I'm actually a woman." I bet not many of you thought these were the conversations that were going to happen. Why? Because we generally assume that people are heterosexual and cisgender. But what about people that don't fit into these moulds? Imagine your child is born with variations of their physical sex characteristics and isn't definitively male or female. Or imagine you've just assumed that your daughter's going to grow up to marry a man, only to find out they don't want to marry a man, or they actually are a man. This would probably be more of a surprise for you, because as a society, we treat gender, sex, and sexuality diversity as something that's not the norm. We may not do this intentionally, but it's built into the world around us. Now, I assume that this may not be so true in the university space. After all, we're supposed to be inclusive and progressive here, right? So the initial stage of my research looked into this. How welcoming, or not, is our university space in relation to gender, sex, and sexuality? Well, focus groups with diverse staff and students showed me that I was both right and wrong in my initial assumption. On one hand, some people thought that our university space was much safer than the wider Hamilton area. On the other hand, some people couldn't wait to leave because of the discrimination they'd experienced here. Following this, a survey with 343 staff and students in our university showed me that most cisgender and heterosexual people are pretty accepting of diversity. They just lack a bit of knowledge. It also showed me that diverse people on campus just want to be treated as normal, the way that heterosexual and cisgender people are. So they wanted other students to respect the way that they dress, even if it is a bit different. They wanted the health service to not assume the gender of their partner and what contraception they may or may not need. And they wanted the university to acknowledge their support of diversity on campus. Should our university be offended that they can do better? No. But should our university treat this as a challenge to show our future students that we're leading the way in inclusivity? Yes. And that's what I'm going to do with the next stage of my research. Work alongside the university to inform staff about diversity. And hopefully that way in my next survey, more than 21% of participants will think that our university thoroughly addresses diversity issues. And that's why this research is so important, so that when people talk to us about their gender, sex and sexuality, we don't have to be surprised by who they are.